it was likely just flight very slowly, and I was moving in a car going the opposite direction. However, when I stopped at a traffic light, I could clearly see that the jet was actually motionless in the sky. I looked at it for at least 20 seconds. Now, he says he definitely wasn't seeing things because the car behind him stopped, and they were all pointing at it as well, which makes it, I guess, even a better sighting. And he says, when the light changed, I drove to Oak Street via 9th, he says, to get a closer look to where the jet was hovering. As I turned the corner and onto Oak, I saw black smoke start to pour from the jet's engines, which had not been there before, as if it were, I guess, starting up to get out of there. He said it accelerated and moved like a normal jet. In fact, it began to move very fast and made a rather sharp right turn and disappeared over the treetops. Now, I bring up that sighting because back in 2010, my dad was actually fishing up in Eldred, Pennsylvania. Now, while he was out there, it was a cloudy sky. It was cloudy out, and it was probably about noontime. So all of a sudden, he looks up into the sky, and my dad's a Christian man. He he doesn't follow the same stuff I do, and he swears to this day it was Air Force One. When the clouds were coming over, there was a break in the clouds. He saw Air Force One sitting there, and an F-14 sitting next to it. Now, they both were just sitting motionless in the sky. And after about 30 seconds, the clouds covered them back up. And my dad said he didn't see what happened after that because he's guessing they must have taken off. But that is a very crazy sighting. Because you don't see that too much. Have you guys gotten any sightings, anything lately of anything hovering like that, especially military planes?
No, I've got a few things. Basically, what you were talking about, the triangles. Actually, one of them was in, I think, South America somewhere, and there was another one in the Southwest. And they were triangles, like pretty much. I think they were ours, but you know how the secret craft we got, out there. I think triangles. You got to know what I'm talking about when I speak about those.
Yeah.
So what else you got going? Anything?
The one down in South America, I think I heard about that one. Yeah, we got a couple more here. This one here is from Jacksonville, Florida, and it was sighted on the 5th, and it was posted on the 7th. And this is about a circle craft. It says, I was on my back porch having a cigarette when I noticed two helicopters flying over us, one high and one low, with a spotlight on. The helicopter looked like they were looking at something. I went back inside to take my dog out. When I went to the front door, I noticed a bright white light that would flash red every now and then. The colors were very vibrant. The light appeared to be above us. I thought it was a star until I started moving up and down, left to right, and even did circles above us. The light started to drift west towards Sissel Field before slowly drifting down before the tree line. Me and my two family members observed the light for about 5 minutes. He said he's lived here his whole life, and I guess a couple of his family members work on F-18s, and he says he worked on commercial airlines, and they all agreed it definitely wasn't anything that they've ever worked on or seen before. That's pretty wild.
That is pretty wild.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're working on those types of vehicles, You must see it, He's probably seen several different kinds of them, so. All right.
What else you got?
All right, next one here's, got North Carolina. It said, this one here says, at approximately 6 p.m., I saw three lights in a line, approximately, and they said they were white and blue, completely stationary. Another light descended from the center and started moving left. At this point, I was stopped in the middle of the road, and two cars came behind me, so I had to turn left into the road that I lived on. At the same time that it took me to turn onto my road, I looked back, and it was changed into a V-shaped formation, and there was now 5 lights, still completely stationary. I watched them until I lost sight. As soon as I got home, I tried to get my drone up to get a better look, but he said that he couldn't get his camera to connect, which has never happened before. So I'm guessing he thinks there's a problem with his electronics due to these formations.
It seems like there's
right.
It seems like there's been a lot more sightings than on this report than normal.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Also too, I wanted to bring up that one. Where was it here? We just talked about it. The one with the lights following behind the helicopter. I think now for the last couple of weeks, I found something like that in the top reports. A light being followed by a military vehicle. You know what I mean? I mean that we know of, which I just keep finding that odd. So I actually cataloged them, and I'm going to check those out. So
yeah, I think it is.
Right.
I'm just wondering, are we seeing? Is there multiple UFOs on a regular basis, or are we pretty much seeing the same one? And are people seeing what they seeing different? I mean, what they think they're seeing or want to see.
Yeah, you're right. It does seem like they're the same things over and over. It does. It's pretty wild.
I don't know. Did you listen to the show last night?
I did.
I don't know. What did you think?
Well, the beginning, I liked his input on the, I guess the flat Earth, because I tend to agree with you, Gary, about it, and also his take too. But the moon stuff was very interesting. I found. I did watch the video that he was telling you about, and a lot of those objects on there do look legit. And if he says they're from NASA, that's the thing too, is I don't know anything about, NASA's prints or how they do it. And so I would have to agree with him that if they're from NASA, they're from NASA, and that's hard to debate, But other things on there just good.
Yes, I know. It's a lot of, I hate to say it, hoaxing going, not just with ufology, I mean everything. But I've seen so many, manipulated pictures. A lot of times I will tell you this, though. NASA will upload a picture, and then within a matter of an hour or two, they yank it down, or they manipulate it a little bit, and kind of blur an area or do something, because then they realize, well, maybe that shouldn't be seen. And that has been going on forever with NASA. You know what, though? The president with his crazy budget, the one that's going to cut people with disability, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, he does want to increase the budget for NASA. He wants.
Maybe we'll find out some more.
Yeah, he wants us to go to Mars. Now, what I still find crazy is we should be going to not Mars and worry about Mars. We should be, going to the moon first.
I agree with you. What's the point of going there a couple times and then, especially leaving all that stuff there? I'd really like to see what happened to a lot of that stuff. And also, you bring up a good point about them yanking stuff after they put it up. I remember back in 1997, I forget the astronaut's name, but he posted a video of the supposed Black Knight satellite. And it was a really awesome video. But it was taken down in about 40 minutes. You guys can find that, though. I'm pretty sure it's still up on the web. But if you guys get a chance, definitely check that out.
Well, I'm sure there's things they don't want us to see. I don't know. I'm still debating, is it logical to go to Mars? When, again, I was reading a report today that the atmosphere is so thin, even as the ice caps start melting, it evaporates almost instantaneously. So it tells me that what water there is on Mars, it can't be there very long because it's going to evaporate. It's nothing there to hold it, to the ground.
If anything, it'd be a big waste of money by the sounds of that, to be honest.
Well, we need to go to to the moon. We got to figure out what's going on in the moon, why we haven't gone to the moon. And like our guest last night, said that there's a lot of UFOs on the backside of the moon. And maybe that's where their base is. Who knows?
Yeah, I really thought the intriguing part was when he said there was photos of vegetation on the moon. And I was trying to look for those. I couldn't find them. But, that's not to say that they don't exist. But I thought that was really interesting that he mentioned that.
Well, to have vegetation on the moon, you'd have an atmosphere. You'd have to have a certain amount of oxygen. Now, I know China, when they were just recent there with their little rover, they planted some seeds, and it did come up. I don't know how long they survived, but, I'm certain that, they didn't survive very long.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, how would it get any water?
Well, that's number one. Number two is now again, some people are, again, it's like people on the flat Earth. There's people out there saying that, the moon has oxygen. We've been lied to. But I gotta say something. To have oxygen, don't you need, tell me if I'm wrong, don't we need a lot of vegetation? Don't we need a lot of trees and all this stuff? Even the ocean,
absolutely,
produces oxygen. A lot of people don't realize that. If we had no oceans, we wouldn't even have enough oxygen to breathe. So it's this not all the trees, it's the combination of all this. Well, I don't see any oceans unless they're on the backside of the moon. I certainly don't see less forest and all that stuff. Hey, Ryan, can you hang in after the break for like about 10 minutes?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, we're going to go on break. We'll be back in like 3 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio.